The nervous system, along with the endocrine system, is important for control and regulation. When we take a look at the nervous system, we can divide the activities into three main parts. First, the nervous system has an important sensory function. It's responsible for detecting what's going on either in our bodies or in the environment so that we can decide what to do about it. The nervous system can detect lots of things. It can detect pain, pressure, hot, cold, body position, pH, tastes, and all sorts of things. The sensory function of the nervous system is to detect these stimuli and send the information to the central nervous system. The main function of the central nervous system is integration. Integration means looking at the sum of everything that's going on and then deciding what to do about it. That's what happens in your brain and to a lesser extent in your spinal cord. This is where we process, use, and store the information that's gathered from the sensory part of the nervous system. Also included in the integration function of the nervous system are things like your reflexes, memory, thoughts, emotions, planning, and dreams. Once information has been collected through the sensory function and sent to the central nervous system for integration, once the central nervous system decides what to do with that, it involves the motor function of the nervous system. The motor function of the nervous system is to control what's going on out in the body. The signals that are going to go from the brain out to the body to control the movements of muscles or the activities of glands. This is important for being able to maintain or to change body conditions. The sorts of things regulated by the motor function of the nervous system include movement, heart rate, blood pressure, the release of secretions from glands, and things like that. When we look at the organization of the nervous system, we can divide the nervous system into two main parts. We have the central nervous system, which involves the brain and the spinal cord. The central nervous system contains neurons called interneurons. These are neurons that receive information from neurons, integrate that information, and send the information on to other neurons. And that points to the main function of the central nervous system, which is integration. The central nervous system receives the information from your sensory neurons, integrates it in the interneurons to decide what to do about it, and then activates motor neurons to control the body. The central nervous system is where we find most of the neurons. 90% of your neurons are found in the central nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is the rest of the nervous system. This is where we find the nerves and the sensory systems that are not in the central nervous system. We can divide the peripheral nervous system into two main parts depending on which direction the signals are going. The sensory part of the peripheral nervous system is what's going to be detecting stimuli and sending signals to the central nervous system. This is also called the afferent division of the nervous system, taking information from the surroundings or from the body to the brain. We can divide the sensory division of the nervous system into two parts. The somatic sensory division of the nervous system is responsible for gathering the information from our skin as well as the bones, muscles, and joints. These are the sorts of things that we have some conscious sorts of perception of. And this is going to carry the information up to the brain from those areas of the body. The visceral sensory division is what gathers information from our internal organs, from the organs of the abdominal and the thoracic cavity. These are the areas that we have less conscious recognition of what's going on, but it's still very important for the brain to be able to detect the conditions in those areas of the body so it can respond appropriately. So I may not have any conscious understanding of the change in pH that's being detected in my stomach when I consume food, or of the stretch that's going on in the stomach when I consume food, but those signals do go up to the central nervous system through the visceral sensory division in order to let the brain know that I need to increase the movement of my stomach in order to help digest this food that I've just taken in. The second part of the peripheral nervous system is the motor division, also called the afferent or efferent with an E. division of the nervous system. And the motor division is what's carrying the signals from the central nervous system out to the rest of the body. The motor division contains the motor neurons that are relaying the signals that are controlling our muscles and our glands. Just like we could divide the sensory division of the peripheral nervous system into the motor and visceral parts, we can divide the motor division of the peripheral nervous system into somatic and visceral parts. The somatic motor division of the nervous system is what carries the signals out to our muscles, our skeletal muscle, in order to control voluntary movement. As we saw from the muscle unit, the motor neurons that are controlling our skeletal muscle release acetylcholine in order to activate the contraction of those muscles. The visceral motor division of the nervous system is also called the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is important for carrying the signals to our smooth muscle, cardiac muscle, and glands to help to regulate most of our involuntary functions. The visceral motor division, or the autonomic nervous system, can be further divided into two parts. We have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. These two parts of the nervous system work together to help regulate our involuntary functions. The neurons of the sympathetic nervous system release the neurotransmitter norepinephrine. This has the same effect as epinephrine or adrenaline on the body, and that is to prepare the body for activity. Everything the sympathetic nervous system does helps prepare the body for increased activity. This includes increasing the blood pressure, increasing the heart rate, dilating the bronchi so you get better air exchange, dilating the pupils for better visual acuity, increasing sweating to cool the body, and decreasing the functions of the urinary and the digestive system, since we don't really need to worry about making urine or digesting food if we're concerned about increasing the body's activity. The parasympathetic nervous system is the part of the autonomic nervous system that's more concerned with everyday housekeeping activities and the activities of the body when it's not so active. This includes things like slowing the heart rate and the contraction force to reduce the blood pressure, and increasing digestive system activity, and increasing the filtration of blood to make urine. The parasympathetic neurons release acetylcholine instead of norepinephrine. We often refer to the sympathetic nervous system as activating what's necessary for fight or flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system as being involved in rest and digest. But it's important to note that most of the time, both of these nervous systems are active at the same time to create the balance that provides us increased activity when we need it, but increased housekeeping activities when we're resting.